Welcome to another G4 Guitar Teacher Hangout. What we're going to do in this session is talk about what's called the audience first strategy. And the audience first strategy, just to sort of sum it up basically, is the idea is to, when you start your business, no matter what it is, and this is very common with online businesses especially, but it's also been done offline for a long time, and which I'll sort of go through some examples as well. But the idea is that you build your audience first, that you focus not on making money, but actually building an audience. And this strategy tends to be the opposite of what most people do, except for the very successful companies. When you look at the evidence on this, then you see it everywhere. When you first, when this first sort of comes up, we often don't know, we don't have that clarity on what audience first is and what it means and examples. So perhaps if I sort of jump into a few examples first, just to explain how it works. So if we think of the platforms like Google with search and Facebook with AdWords, just as two very big giants today, both of them started with an audience first strategy. And what that means is that they didn't start to monetize their businesses. Google, they worked on a search engine and they weren't making any money. The money that they used to fund their idea came through an angel investor. And the first initial thing for Google was they got $1 million from a particular investor. They obviously put in their own money to start with to buy the computers and do whatever they needed, but they were also attached to Stanford University. So being part of Stanford University, they got a certain amount of access to equipment and funding, but beyond that they had to then get private funding. And so Google, like I said, they got that $1 million, and they actually tried to sell the search engine, believe it or not. They went to, I think, IBM and a couple of other companies, Yahoo maybe, and they tried to sell it. And these other companies looked at what they were doing, looked at these young guys and said, well, we can do this, we don't need you guys. We're not going to pay you guys $1 million for your idea, which is what they were trying to get. I think they wanted to get $1 million for their idea, but no one was really prepared to pay them the money that they were looking for. So what happened as a result is that they decided, well, I'm going to do it myself. I'm not going to, Page and Brin, decided that they weren't actually going to try and keep selling it, that they were then going to look for an investor, and then they got this investor being in Silicon Valley, and the rest is history, as we know. But they didn't monetize it until AdWords came along. And AdWords came along really a long time later from when they started their concept. It might have been 5 or 6 years later. So they'd been running for a good 5 or 6 years, and I'm guessing this, I don't know what the accurate number is, before they became successful, before they actually were getting any money outside of the investor. So the idea was that they focused on the quality of their product and what they were offering. They were building their audience through giving their audience what they were looking for, which was a search engine. And if we move to the other example of Facebook, Facebook was the same. Facebook didn't monetize. They only monetized a few years back. Prior to that, Facebook didn't make any money. There was no revenue coming in for Facebook. What they did is they built this social network into this giant, and then they monetized it through Facebook ads, and now they're making an absolute fortune. But you can see this example in lots of other places, and it's not always a case of not monetizing your business. Sometimes it's a case of giving maybe below cost, or giving making very low margins, not making a lot of money in the beginning to build your audience. So if we look at an example like, let's say a restaurant opens in an area. If that restaurant, when they first open, they charge top dollar, top prices, then a lot of people aren't going to go there. A lot of people are just going to say, that's too expensive, it's not what, I can't afford that price. I can't afford to be paying $50 for a meal. So they don't go there. What they do is they go somewhere else where it's cheaper, they know it, they might look at the restaurant, they might be curious about it, they might think, oh, maybe on a special occasion we'll go there, but they generally won't go there or try it because of the prices. But if that restaurant said to everybody, come and have a free meal, and this happens, there's many successful examples of this, where they say, come and have a free meal and let us know what the food's like. And what they're doing is they're not only just getting people to come to their restaurant, but they're getting feedback. They're getting that. Or what do you think? What do you think about the food? So then they can make changes to their food. They can adjust whatever. So what they're doing is they're building their audience and they're helping people to do this. What I want to do now is give you an example in the guitar space and the online guitar space. Most people know of Justin Sandercoe, who's done extremely well. He's got, when he started, he was a young guy. I think he was very early 20s when he first started. When he first did his first video, and he's probably been doing it for 10 years now. Really, when YouTube came along, he was really there at the front door. He was one of the first guys to do it. But he's done over 900 lesson videos now on all sorts of songs. He's had interviews with people like Steve Vai. He's had endorsements from famous guitar players, Tommy Emmanuel. Lots of people, notable players and notable people in the industry have now recognized him, and not just in the guitar, but the overall marketing business arena have looked at him and go, wow, this guy has done amazing for his business. But what he didn't do is he didn't try and monetize early. What he did was he built up this audience, this huge audience of very appreciative people for his videos, and from there he's now monetizing it. He still primarily asks for donations. I think I don't think he was in it for the money in the first place. I think he's done it because it's something that he wanted to do, but he realizes now that to keep it going and to keep it growing, and if anything, probably he needs to monetize it more, because when you look at his website, he's a great guy. His videos are great, and the value that he gives in those free videos is fantastic, and it's helped probably millions of people learn guitar. But he's not actually, when I look at it and I think you perhaps should monetize it more, so you've got more money then to improve what you're doing. Not that the videos could be that much better quality, but perhaps he could improve in other areas. He could bring in other specialists. He could build courses that are more for certain types of players. He could help you in specific skill areas. So there are lots of other avenues that he could be doing to help to grow. He could build real schools. He could help train teachers in the way that he presents. There's lots of things that he could be doing that could grow and maximize his audience, but not just for the sake of making money, but for the sake of making what he offers an even better experience for people who want to learn guitar. So, but the point here is, and this is what we want to talk about today, and I'm going to talk about from a G4 perspective, is how we can apply this audience first approach to what we do. And I've done it at different times. There's times that I haven't done it. The natural instinct for all us entrepreneurs is to make money. When we do it, we have in mind we want to make money. But what I find that tends to happen more is that we're too hungry for the money, to almost, for lack of a better term, too anxious and too greedy in the beginning to see the long-term vision, the long-term view of your business. So, for instance, in your first 5 years, if I said you weren't going to make a cent doing what you're doing, most people wouldn't do it. Most people would not, because we have this job mentality where we want to get paid at the end of the week or the end of the month. So being an entrepreneur is about getting paid at the end of the decade. It's a very different experience, but the difference that you get paid at the end of the decade is huge compared to what the job earner gets paid. So getting to this audience first mentality, it also takes some faith as well. What if I spend all this time and energy and it doesn't work out? What if I can't monetize it? What if I've been, giving away something that is just not, the audience that I'm attracting never want to spend a dime? The truth is that that's never been shown to happen. There are cases where people will talk about it, but wherever you've got an audience, that audience is a potential sale. There are always sales within any audience. And so much so that companies like Facebook and Google now go and buy companies for the audience. They don't buy it for whatever the company's selling or blogging or whatever. They just go and buy it because they've already got a ready-made audience. For example, Google bought Blogger, and that was because Blogger already had a big usage. They weren't buying it because the blog platform was fantastic, and Google said, "Wow, I wish we had invented this amazing blog platform." It's a very average blog platform. Actually, I started using it and I don't really like it. I much prefer using a WordPress blog. And so this is what happened. WordPress are another example. WordPress was all free, and it's still free. There's still a lot of free applications you can use with WordPress. but now they're monetizing it. WordPress is everywhere now. Something like 40% of websites on the internet are made from WordPress, and it all started from a couple of guys who they were actually a group of guys who made it all free. It was all about freeware. Everybody, giving to the cause, so to speak, and that's where WordPress more or less came from. So we've got a lot of this, put it out there, make it free, give people access to it. So to build your audience first. And the last example I'll give before we sort of move into some examples or how we can use it with G4, the last example is bloggers. There are many, many examples of bloggers. Now, I picked up a story, let me find it here. They're a company in America, in Australia, we don't know about them, but the guys in the US might know a little bit more about them. They're called Pools and Spas, and they were in 2008 when the global financial crash was going on. They were a small company in one state of America, and they were struggling. They were really on the brink of going broke. But what happened was that they decided to take this approach to blogging, where they would answer any question on building a pool or a spa, and it didn't matter. They weren't looking for sales, they weren't looking for clients. What they were looking for was simply to be helpful. So they created this blog, and what they did is they simply answered any question that anybody put up about a pool or a spa, how to build one, or how much it costs. So they got their technicians in to help to give them the information that they needed to build the blog. They went from being this small company to now being the #1 seller of fiberglass pools in America. And they did it in a matter of a couple of years, and they did it through audience first approach. So they weren't trying to sell something. What they were trying to do was help people and build the audience through being helpful. So you can see that the idea is to be helpful in some way to people, and that's where you build your audience. And then once you build your audience, then you monetize it. And as I said before, you don't have to necessarily do it for free, but you need to do it something at a very low cost, or something that allows people to at least come in to what you're offering and not feel like it's an expensive venture, and then build that faith and build that confidence in who you are and what you do. I will say that a lot of the time that people don't do this and businesses don't do this is because they don't actually have confidence in their product. They don't believe in their product enough, or whatever they're offering, to feel that anyone will ever pay them for it. So that's something to keep in mind as well, is that if you're going to, it's like giving away, and we talk about this a little bit, and I'll bring this into it as well, and talk about not giving away free guitar lessons and about selling your guitar lessons. So when you give, and we see this all the time, we see it all over the place, try first lesson free. The first lesson free approach, and I will sort of clarify the difference here. The first lesson free approach is a very open, notable trap. People understand what you're trying to do. People understand that by giving the first lesson free, you haven't said the second lesson free or the third lesson free. You just said the first lesson free. So they know what it is. They know it's a sales pitch. They know that it's just a trap or a seduction to get them to the table, so then they can sample your product. And it works in some cases, and there are situations where you do want to use it. So I don't rule it out completely. But what I do say is that it's not really a legitimate strategy for building a business. What you want to do in this audience first, the difference with audience first is that you're connecting with people, and there's no catch. There's no, hey, I'm just trying to get a sale out of you. It's, here's some information for free. I'm sharing what I know. If you can use it, great. We talk about Justin Seneca. He didn't do those videos thinking, I'm going to try and sign people up and get money out of them. What he did was, I want to do this video. I want to help people learn guitar. That was his intention, and he knew. He wasn't even thinking that way. But most people, when they do these kind of things and they promote a product, or they're trying to give something away, so to speak, then what they're trying to do is get you to buy it. That's the bottom line for them, and that's fair enough. That's an entrepreneur. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make money. But if you want to take the audience first approach, which is really what I think is the best way to go about it. It's not about manipulating people. It's about giving people, being of a service to people, and then once you build your audience, then looking for ways to monetize it. So the whole audience first approach strategy is not about looking for the money in the beginning. It's about looking for what you can do and help people and build an audience, and then think about the monetization at a later stage. There's a company called Content Inc., I think, which is where I got some of this information from. They, I think they've become one of the top. Well, they become the top internet content blogging company in the world, and they did it through this very strategy, and that's why they talk a lot about it. So if we'll jump into it now, and we'll talk about. Sorry, I did have one more example. I'll just give you quickly, and there's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. If you have a look at Gary, he started out being I think he took over his parents' wine shop or something like that. He had something to do with the wines. I don't know his full story, but he was involved with wines, and then he started writing a blog, and his blog was all about wines, of course. But really what he was offering in his blogging, and this is the key to it, is he was educating people on wines. He wasn't trying to sell his wines, he was just educating people on wine, and it was through his kind of charismatic approach to educating people on wine that he became a real celebrity. And now he goes around and I think he makes most of his money through teaching other people how to actually build blogs. And he's very, very successful, very well known in the industry now. And he did it all by freely giving his information, his intellectual knowledge, if you like, away to people through a blogging system and videos. So let's get to G4 and let's talk about how we can do that and what our approach can do. I think really the key to it is that we need to be, there's enough of us here to really get this happening, to really launch it in a big way. Obviously I've already done it. I've already got hundreds of blogs posts that I've done, which I know work. I know that you guys have read blogs, and some of you were influenced by those blogs. Some of you got to know me through those blogs. I have people who comment on those blogs. Across the industry, I wouldn't be known to most people without my blog, and that's a lot of the time. That's where they find me, is they come through the blog and connect to me. A blog comes across as a more honest way. It's not like marketing. It's not like where you're putting up a Facebook ad or an AdWords ad where people go, well, that's an ad. Obviously they want me to buy something. Whereas when you do a blog, people don't see it that way. They see it almost like an article in a newspaper, or whatever. Here's a writer, here's somebody who's got something to say, and that they read and agree with you, then they're like, wow, this is good. Or they find the information helpful, it helps them with their business, then they remember you, and they come back and they look for more information for you, or they subscribe to your blog. So that's where I've got over 10,000 people who have an interest in teaching guitar on my my blog or through my emails, which are basically my blog. So they're sourcing the information. They want more information from me, and they're only the people who have subscribed. The people who have actually seen my information or maybe visit my blog who don't subscribe, because I'm that kind of person. I don't subscribe to many things. I will bookmark a great blog, but I won't subscribe to it because I don't want email after email. But when I want to get some more information, I will go to that blog and check some more, or look for some more of their blogs, or look at their latest posts occasionally. But I don't want to subscribe because I have enough coming into my inbox. So I know for everybody who's on my list, there's another 10 that probably aren't, that have either visited my blog or read my blogs occasionally, whatever. So we know that we've got those numbers out there. We know that the blog works, and the value for any business is massive. So for G4, if you can imagine that, this is what I'm thinking for us and for you guys, is for each of you to write on a subject. You can write or you can do videos, whatever you like. And remember, if you do a video, it can also be transcribed, so we can take it and put it into a text blog. So the idea is to start blogging on a topic that you feel that you know well, and that you can share on. So, and then put them under the brand name of G4. So, because that's an exponential growth for all of us. It means that if each one of you, we've got 50 across the board. So if 50 did one blog each a month, that's 50 blog posts a month that are putting the G4 name out there. And people will come to those blogs from all different directions, and having it on topics that each of you have an interest in will mean different people with different backgrounds, they can connect on different levels, and you will build an audience. And it's not just about this is not just about G4 brand building. This is also about your personal brand, you as an individual. As you start to become well known, You can, if you look at many famous guitar players, as we know, they started often behind famous brands. In other words, like a band or a singer, artist of some description. We can also, you look at TV shows. You look at something like Oprah. How many people have become famous, launched their careers by being a guest on Oprah? Especially authors, speakers. That I don't know how many people have come off that show, but a lot. So this is the idea: is that you use the brand G4, which is already obviously a much bigger name than yourself, and you use that to help leverage your own personal brand. So I'm not just doing this to stoke my own fire and to say, hey, make G4 a big name. This is about helping you and helping G4, so helping both. And by all of us putting the G4 label and you're doing those blogs, now you can submit those blogs to me and I'll put them up on our main blog, or you can do your own blog, which I think is a great thing to do. I think if you do your own blog under your name as a G4 guitar teacher, but author it with you, then as you do those blogs, then we can all sort of grab those blogs and post them on our Facebook pages. We can send them out through emails. If someone writes a good blog that's on a particular subject, then we can put that in, put it in an email or put it on your Facebook page, or you can use them as a way to sort of refer a particular student. If a student asks a question, let's say one of you guys is really good on understanding how to get great intonation on a guitar. And a student says, I want to know about how to set my guitar up. It's something that I'm really interested in. All right, go and see Monty's blog. This guy knows all about that stuff. I know nothing about it. All I do is I throw my guitar to my tech and he fixes it. Beyond that, forget it. But Monty, he's just a genius with this stuff. He knows it upside down, inside out. So this is what you want to do: is each of you create your own blog and try and make it something to do with guitar, with music. That's your niche, that's your thing, whatever it happens to be. It might be a particular style of music that you're into. So I'm going to open it up now and just sort of go through you guys and get some feedback, questions, whatever. So because I brought you into it first, Monty, I'll get you to come in. Are there any topics or suggestions that you would write a blog on?
Well, before I answer that, where would you put this blog? Do you put it on Facebook or YouTube or? On
your website. Your website is a blog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, put it on the Pittsburgh. You can do that, or you can create a whole new domain. It's up to you. So, I'm not saying that necessarily you need to go one way or the other, but you could create another domain name, which could be called whatever, something specific to what you're doing. Like if it was guitar intonation, guitar intonation master or something, whatever.
Okay.
Call it. Yeah.
Well, I play some slide, so maybe a slide tutorial.
Excellent. Yep.
Some simple ideas to get the beginner to start playing.
Yep.
And because a lot of people struggle with that. It's a different animal. You play slide?
I don't play slide, so I'm interested.
See, I can slide circles around you.
You can slide all over me.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be interested. Yeah, I want to see. I want to see some slide. I've dabbled in a bit of slide. I've played a little bit here and there, but I don't do much. So yeah, I would be very, very interested to check it out. But see, just
heard Derek Trucks. You ever heard of him from the Allman Brothers?
I know the Allman Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of slide work. That's one of my favorite bands. Them and Rush.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played with a guy who was a great slide guitarist in Sydney. He used to do a lot of stuff, and there was a band that were big when I was a kid called Rose Tattoo in Australia, and they had a slide guitarist, and pretty rough band, but they did some cool songs, and they were really up there with AC/DC. They were. Wow. It was back in the 70s. It was AC/DC and Rose Tattoo. They were neck and neck for being the band. Yeah. So. Cool. So see, the thing is that if I know you do slide guitar, then when anyone brings it up, or I just want to post something, I'm looking for something on Facebook, and you've just done a video on basics of slide guitar. Things like the 3 rules to playing good slide guitar or something like that. Doing these kind of blogs, then you can do that, do a video, and then I can post it on Facebook, and then we can let the other guys know, and so you'll start to get a bit of an audience without doing much at all. And if you make them valuable, if you make these videos cool, you're going to get guys who are learning slide guitar who are really getting into it. Teach them some classic slide licks like from songs. Top 10 songs.
Freebird.
What's that? Freebird.
Have you heard Freebird?
I've heard it. Yes.
Have you ever been asked to play it?
No.
A little break between songs, they go, Freebird! They do that in the States all the time. It's hard to get through a gig without some heckler out there saying Freebird.
Yeah. I know, is it Hotel California, there's some slide guitar as well?
Not in that one, but a lot of, you know what, speaking of tribute bands, I'm in an Eagles tribute. Right. So I do a lot of slide, but not in that particular song.
Which song is it? There's a
Peaceful Easy Feeling. There's a lot of them.
I think it's Heartache Tonight.
Yeah, Heartache Tonight.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking of. Yep.
Just a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a whole ton of them. But you can check out Rose Tattoo. Look them up on the internet.
Rose Taboo.
Rose Tattoo, like a tattoo.
Tattoo. Okay, cool.
Rose Tattoo. Michael knows.
All right.
Jonathan will know who I'm talking about.
Cool. AC/DC with slide.
Yep, a lot of slide guitar. I actually played with one of the guys from Rose Tattoo. Very interesting guy.
Cool.
They're a pretty wild band. So yeah, that'd be great. So all right, thanks, Monty. Michael,
Thank you.
What would you write on? What's something that you think, or any comments you've got on this topic?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've been thinking about doing for a while now, and I'll probably get more into it next year when I've got a little bit more time on my hands. But I think for me, I really like just the basic, I think playing and singing, the basic sort of Ed Sheeran pop stuff is what I tend to do more so with gigs and that, like a lot of solo acoustic gigs. So yeah, for me, it's making songs easier to play as a solo artist. So usually transposing keys to make it easy to remember, yeah, just playing basic pop stuff, but singing and playing really. That's sort of my thing.
Brilliant. So you've got a style of teaching, and this is right across the board. All of you guys have a certain style of teaching. So by doing these, especially if you do videos and you do the blog. And you teach whatever it is that you teach, keeping it to a theme if you can, you're going to build up an audience, and it's going to make for really good. It'll help to give you feedback as well, because what you want to do is also start finding out from your audience what they want. Again, if go back to Justin Seneca, he would often ask people, "What do you want? What kind of songs you're interested in?" And so then he was able to make a video on whatever the song that he was getting a lot of requests for. So take your style of teaching, whatever it is. So again, we look at Monty being a slide guitarist. You might say, if you've got any slide song requests, let me know, and I'll see if I can work it out for you. And then he can do a lesson on some ideas from that song. The same with you. If you follow something like Ed Sheeran, he's got a huge following. So you could be the guy that teaches people who are beginners how to play basic versions of songs along those lines. If they like Ed Sheeran, they probably like 3 or 4 other people along the same lines. So you can bring in other artists, you can branch out, and the idea is that this audience first idea is that you start with a kind of a small core audience on a niche, because if you're too broad, there's other people out there who are covering it. So you're not going to be anything special. You've got to kind of come down to that niche. And then you build out from the niche. So start narrow and then go wide. That's the strategy. Cool. Jonathan, are you with us? Jonathan's out flying at the moment, so he might be busy sticking flyers in letterboxes. Are you there, Jonathan? Maybe not.
Yeah, sorry, I was just parking the bike under a tree.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no worries.
Sorry. Yeah, cool.
So,
a lot of good ideas there.
Yeah. I mean, this is. I know that you're full of great ideas. So, what would you what's a niche that you would look at?
So, yeah, I was thinking of a couple of different things through that. So I was thinking of something like techniques of miking an acoustic guitar for live gigs or something along those lines. That's a real tricky thing for a lot of people, I've found, over doing live production and whatnot. But also, learning how to play big band, stage band type stuff. So there's a bit of a trick. Instead of playing your full block chords, you shorten it down to just the necessary chords. So like your 3, 7, 9, that sort of thing. Just getting rid of the root out of your chords, getting rid of your fifth sometimes. Just because, the bass player's doing that, your piano player's playing around with that sort of stuff too. So working out how to not make the music so busy as such.
Fantastic, you're not sort of, as I think Clark or someone said, guitar sounds like a full orchestra, orchestra. You've got six levels there where, when you're in the band, in the orchestra, you want to cut it back to 2 or 3 strings.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So, see, they're both really good topics, and the point here is that when you first start doing it, you might think, well, why am I any different? There's a lot of other guys out there doing it. Anything you can think of, there are guys out there who are doing, business courses, personal motivation courses, you name it. When I sort of first put G4 together, I wasn't the first person to put a guitar method together. I wasn't reinventing anything. I wasn't inventing anything new. I was just, sort of taking things and doing it, my kind of twist on it, and this, that, and the other. And what happens is it evolves over time, and your audience builds, and then you get ideas. And this is I think the key thing is the ideas start to really flow. So much so, which is where I find myself a lot these days, is there's so many ideas coming at me from you guys, left, right, center, that it's hard to keep up. I can't keep up. There's just so many ideas.
It's trying to prioritize all those ideas as well. Like, I've got so many ideas happening at the moment myself with everything what I do, and just trying to go, okay, let's just take a step back and focus on a few things, just to get the ball rolling. It's hard. So that's probably the one thing I know I'm struggling with at the moment. But
getting that narrow.
Yeah, and exactly.
That's the thing, is that and that's my point, is that when you first start doing this blog, it might feel like you're going to do 2 or 3 blogs and 2 or 3 videos, and that's it, you're done. But what happens is the ideas start to really flow to the point where you've got a list of, as I do, I've got, actually, to be honest, I've got over 1,000 things that I could do blogs on and topics on. I've got so much information. Sure, there's some repeat ideas there, but you can put different twists on different ideas. But that's what happens, is you start to collect these ideas, and they grow and grow and grow to the point where you just don't have enough hours. There's just not enough time to get everything done. So, okay, cool. All right, so I'll go to Ben Allen in Australia. Ben, what would you? I mean, I can think of some things that you could probably do, but I'll let you do the talking.
I'm already a few steps ahead of you there, David. I've actually purchased this video production kit off eBay for $98.
Wow.
Comes with 2 of these lights as well, these big lights. So I've already started thinking about, getting all that happening. I think a while back I emailed you and said to ask you about blogging and that sort of thing. But
so you've taken action. What was that? $98 you said? Was it
$98 for 2 of those lights, and this screen at the back, which comes with a black one, a white one, and a green one.
Wow.
So the green one, or you could maybe.
They threw in a banjo too, did they?
Hey?
They throw in the banjo for free?
That's right. Yeah. No, that's got to be worth something. The banjo.
Got to be worth something. Yep. So excellent.
Yeah. So I just wrote
banjo jokes. No banjo jokes.
That's right. I wrote down. I'm a songwriter and obviously a performer. So I like to sort of do sort of beginner style stuff more than advanced. I think it's obviously a wider audience, so just some real basics for people interested in getting out there, and songwriting and performing would be a pretty good one to capture a fair audience, maybe.
Absolutely. It's really interesting because you would think that beginner videos and beginner material, blogs, etc., would be, you know, the majority of what goes out there. But most guitar teachers I speak to actually prefer teaching more advanced things. But the problem with that is that they have a very small audience, because, you know, obviously, first of all, you've got to be reasonably advanced to want advanced lessons, of course. But the second thing is that a lot of advanced players don't actually want lessons. They're less. They sort of get to this point where they think, oh, I can work anything out that I need to work out. I don't really need someone to teach me it. I can listen to a song and I can analyze it and break it apart. And we know that. You know, you get to a certain point in your own playing where you can really listen to music and analyze it and learn lots from it. Or just watch players and you learn a lot without actually having to, you know, watch them do a lesson, or you don't have to be taught what they're doing. You just listen to it, interpret it, and work it out. So I think being an advanced teacher, I think you're going to be pretty hungry. I think it's going to be a tough go. It's a nice idea, and I know that there's a certain pleasure there sharing information that you're very knowledgeable, and having someone who appreciates your knowledge is great. But to me, you know, I guess it's like opera singers for me. I can appreciate the fact that they're very talented, but, you know, it goes over my head, their talent, for the most part. So that's great. And teaching the beginner, I think there's just as much satisfaction in that, because it's not about so much the material, about trying to teach advanced concepts. It's about communicating, becoming a great communicator, getting things and making them very simple. You know, I love the way, because I like a lot of science, and I love the way some of these science presenters make things really simple. They take these very complex ideas and they're just really good at communicating it. And then you watch other guys who, you know, they're obviously not the popular ones. They're the ones that you find on a video somewhere on YouTube, who are presenting a complex idea in a complex way. And you're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you switch off. Yeah, great. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those, Ben. I'll be waiting for your videos. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, Ben in the UK, Ben Arcidi, review. I know you've got lots to say, so what's going to be your niche?
Well, I don't know if I've got any ideas for topics, but something that I thought of while you were going through the audience first thing. You were talking about them answering questions on the building pools and everything?
Yep.
We could easily set up some kind of system, forum-like, but a bit more kind of chat-based, but a way that kind of keeps them there, less temporary than chat, but maybe less formal than a forum, where we could all just answer questions, because we're wide enough across the world that there's probably someone up and available almost at any time. So it could be quite a good thing to have there, unless you think that's kind of too much. The blogs are one thing, but constantly answering any question that anyone has might be a bit too far. But I think that's something we could definitely do.
Look, I think it's a great idea. Getting people to ask the questions is really what we want to do. I think that a blog actually gets people thinking and asking questions. One of the things I find with blogs is that when you look down the bottom and you look at conversations, you can see it on YouTube videos as well. When you see a conversation, you find yourself getting drawn into it, that you kind of want to comment, you want to put your little comment in. You know, I resist most of the time, but I find that when there's no comments there, you're less likely to spur the conversation on. It's like anything, it's always that first person, that first comment, that first kind of almost controversy there that gets other people into the conversation. So that's why I think a blog is good, because it creates that a little trick that I picked up was to end your blog with a question. Always when you write that blog, so, you know, and try and end it with an easy question, something that people want to answer, because I mentioned this before, people like to look smart. So if you ask them a question that you know that some people can answer. Not everyone, not too obvious, but you know, not too difficult either. Just put it in that kind of medium range and you'll get a person or two. And I've done that on Facebook. If you've noticed, every now and again I'll do it. You know, whose guitar is this, or who's this, or you know, what year was this song written, something like that. And you'll get people who will comment. There'll always be about 3 or 4 people who go, you know, they'll put in the answer just because they want to say the answer. So, yeah, I think that you've hit the nail on the head there, Ben, and you've really picked up the point there of we want to get people to ask the questions, because when they ask questions, then we know what to write about. That's where my ideas come from. My ideas come from you guys. I get my ideas really from a few different places, but first of all, they come from you guys in the topics that you think. You look at the Q&A section that I've put together. That's the biggest section now on the members site, is the Q&A, because that's from the questions you guys have asked. But the other areas that I get it is that when I read books, when I read a book, this topic today, which is audience first, has come from reading a book. So when I read a book, I get these ideas, and then I get the kind of questions as well around it. And the third thing is obviously just off the internet. If I might be watching a video or something, and sometimes it's a cross-pollination. So what happens is that it's something nothing to do with teaching guitar, but yet I get the idea from there. I go, wow, that's a great idea. I might take that idea. I was reading about in this particular book that I'm mentioning, which is called Content Inc., by the way, Content Inc. I haven't read the whole book yet. I'm just starting on it. But he talks about a guy who he's huge in Denmark. He's a huge blogger, very, very successful. He's got videos with 3 million views and all that sort of thing, and he blogs on chilies. And what he did is his idea for chilies, to blog and write about chilies. How many blogs can you write about chili, you think? But he apparently has written many blogs and they're very successful. But his approach was he saw that how wines were written about and blogs on wines, how the wines didn't focus on things like how much alcohol was in it or whatever. They talked about the flavor and the taste and how, you know, all these different flavors that you talk to someone who knows about wines, they'll be able to explain all those elements to how wine tastes, as we could probably do with music. We know the elements of music and the different flavors of music. So he decided to write a blog about chilies and all the different kinds of chilies and you know, the different flavors. So that's just an idea, but through that, obviously, questions come. So my thing would be to start off with a blog that's on a topic that you're passionate about, that you feel that you're interested in, and then start to look for the questions around that topic through your followers and what people say. You know, I've got a few blogs where people have actually emailed me and they don't want to post on there, and that's another thing you can do is put your email address on there. So if you want to contact me personally, and that I actually probably get more of that than I do people who actually post on the blogs. So. Cool.
Something that could easily help us get that ball rolling is if we had all of these blogs on one central site. So we can have links from our site, maybe with samples, if it's easy to embed the samples. But
yep.
If we have it all in one place, we can go there and check it much more easily, and we can all comment on each one, and that'll just mean that there's something there that people won't feel like they're being the first one to jump in.
Yep, exactly. What we could do is create a page, like a web page, and then if each of you create a blog, then we can add a link to that blog, which will also have a description of that blog. So, and we could do that on the G4 Guitar website, and it could be, you know, we've got blog, and then we have, you know, a whole list of the different blogs that you can go to. And I've got the How I Learned Guitar blog, which really, if I know you guys are doing more kind of topics, then I can narrow that down more. And really, what I want that particular blog to be, which was my original intention, is to be about the motivation of learning guitar. The psychology of learning guitar, not about how to actually play guitar, not about where to put your fingers and you know, the techniques and the skills. That's covered in the method. What I really wanted that blog to be is about psychology of keeping you in the game. You know, the guitar mind, if you like. So we could just have that page there, and then we can have all the blogs listed and have comments on each of them that would help with helping people to identify what blog that they want to see, and then each time you guys post a blog, then we could just put that on the main G4 Facebook page, and bang, goes out to everybody. So, excellent. All right. So thanks, Ben. Alex, what would you talk about?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe something on like beginner interpretations of like 70s pop songs. I've been getting all those little, the Little Black Songbook sort of things.
Yep.
And acquiring sort of a bunch of those, and they just like have a bunch of really easy songs to play. So maybe, yeah, just interpretations of sort of popular 70s songs.
So classic songs, we'll say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, which might appeal to sort of maybe the sort of 35 to 40-year-old sort of guys who are just starting to pick up the guitar.
Yep. You'll be surprised, how many younger people like the classics, because classic songs, they tend to stay around. I just have to look at my daughter. She listens to the majority of the songs. She's probably got 80% classics that she listens to, and 20% of new songs. And of course, that's partly to do with me, my influence, but it's also to do with her school and her school teachers, and just what floats around. They had a 75th celebration at her school recently, and they had to learn a song from each decade. And so they did a Beatles song and what else did they do? An ABBA song and a few other songs, but they basically did a song from each decade. And so you'll be surprised what people know. It's the same. You think about yourself. You whatever era you grew up in, there are songs that sort of predate your era that are classics that stick around, that . So yeah, I think it sounds good to me, and I think song content is what a lot of people are looking for. So by providing those kind of lessons around songs, and remember that the internet is full of stuff, of course, but people, what they will do is once they link into G4, then they will gravitate towards what we're offering, because it relates to what they understand. They feel that there's a certain level of trust there as well. And what we want to do is we want to honor that trust at the same time by providing things that are relevant and doing it in a way that makes sense to them as a G4 student. So you can actually, when you present a song video, you can say this is great for people who are beginners, whether it be a G4 junior level 1 or 2 or a senior level 1. You should be able to manage this song okay, etc. So we start to create a bit of a system, a level, because I think that's a hard part for a lot of people. And that's part of what motivated me for G4 was, and because I used to ask that question myself when I was learning, was what level am I? Where am I? I don't know what I am, because unlike piano players and whatever, they were all doing grades. So they always talked about grades. When I did martial arts, you're a certain belt, you're a certain level. With guitar, I was like, well, what level am I at? Who knows? And so that's where the G4, I think that we have a real opportunity to create this standard around the world of, well, this is a standard. It doesn't have to be everybody's standard, but it's a standard. So whether you're J2, J3, J4, S1, S2, and therefore this song or this video is designed for you. So if you were to do videos on classic songs that were for a certain level, that we knew that, then I think you'd be very popular. I think it would be very easy for guys across G4 to say, hey, go and see Alex's song videos. He's done 10 videos on classic songs that are at a S2 level. So check them out. So especially when students are asking about songs a lot, as we know they do, what songs can I learn? I'm at this level. What can I play now? Well, go and check out the list of songs, and that could apply to any of you. If you're doing, if we go back to Monty and doing slide guitar, he could say, okay, this lesson is really for anyone who's a beginner up until about S2. I've got another video if you're higher than that, if you're S3, S4, which will give you some more challenging exercises to do. So, excellent. I think we've covered that. So I'll open it up. Does anyone have a question?
I think the videos I've done so far have been great, especially for lessons. When at the end of the lesson, people go, oh, can you send me an email or something, you know, as far as what we went through with that song today or whatever, then I can just easily send them the link to what I've taught within that lesson. So it's sort of saving me a lot of time as well, you know.
So you're videoing the actual lesson that you do, and then
just maybe the song that we go through at the end or something, you know.
Gotcha.
Like what you've done for The Simpsons and that sort of thing.
Yep.
They just send them that link and it's easy, you know. It saves you a lot of time.
Exactly, and it gives them more value. You know, they feel, wow, you know, this is more than I expected. And if you guys share those things as well, like if you do something, share it. Just throw it up in the Facebook group, and that way we know it's there, and I can add them to. I've got a playlist as well on YouTube, or on the members site, so I can add them to those playlists. So yeah, anything you guys share.
Maybe if you've got a set format for maybe an introduction ideas, or you know, as you said, setting it out as within the introduction for the level that you recommend it's at, and maybe if there's a tagline at the end or something that you recommend.
Yeah, we can do it because we can group them too. So if you do a video, let's say you're doing a video on a lesson, on a song, and you can say, you might say at the beginning of it that, you know, this is a version of Stairway, but I'm only going to do, you know, the first part of the intro. It's not the whole song, etc. And you might say, you know, we know that's for a senior level 3 or whatever, and so we then put that on that senior level 3 playlist. So we create a different playlist for each one, so that way we can send them there. You can say it in the video, but if you do the video, you don't say it, it's not a problem. We can still, like I said, put it onto a certain playlist, knowing that that's about the level. I think for now, just teach the way that you feel comfortable, and then we can sort of look at each other's videos and see what each other's done. I mean, you guys have seen some of the stuff I've done before. I haven't done much as far as teaching guitar for a while, but in respect to presentation, you can have a look at some of the things you do. You know, I just talk about things like presenting, being very clear about it, looking the camera in the eye, making sure your lighting's good, making sure you're smiling a lot. So all these kind of things that create a positive experience for the student, because to me it's not just about teaching them to play, it's about getting that positive motivation across, getting the excitement across, and getting them pumped to want to learn from you. The most successful presenters on YouTube are always guys, again, we go back to Justin Sandico, he's always seems to be half smiling. He's either fully smiling or half smiling. He's always happy. He never seems stressed or upset or too serious. He's always having a good time. So, you know, and I think that's the key to his teaching. I think that he's very good at the way that he presents, but he doesn't present everything in great detail. He tends to, you know, give you the song, but you know, it's up to you to follow it. But he's not really aiming at the absolute beginner or the very early beginner. The very early beginner would probably struggle with a lot of the things he's presenting. But keep in mind that if you present to a certain level to a beginner, try and really break it down and get that projection of being positive across. Cool.
When we I'm sorry. When we record, should we use a special camera, or is it okay to use a cell phone?
Yeah, I think the phones are fine now. If you use like an iPhone or something like that, the video cameras are very good quality, and just make sure you get good lighting and the sound is being picked up properly, and yeah, you should be good to go. As long as if you watch it back and you go, okay, yeah, that works. Don't aim for perfection, because it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and you probably won't do it. Build slowly. Just work with what you've got. Ben's gone to the next step now, but I don't think, Ben, you didn't wait until you had that equipment, right? You've been doing videos already, correct?
Yeah, I've been mucking around with it a little bit, just here and there, just lighting a blank wall or something, you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, and you can keep stepping it up. you know, next time we see Ben, he might have the full Hollywood studio going on. You know,
Right.
might be special. You know,
Special effects.
what's that?
Special effects.
Special effects. That's it. We're doing virtual reality guitar lessons before we know it. But it all starts from somewhere. Everything starts from somewhere, and you know, I think it's really important to take a step to just to do it and do your videos. And you know, if you do a video and it's really bad, then yeah, don't put it up. Just say, well, it's really bad. No one will watch it. But if you do a video, but just doing the video and seeing it and looking it back, you can sort of say, you know, I've got a lot more videos that never went up than I had that did go up. But I look at the videos and I think, you know, I just sort of learn from it. I look at it and go, you know, it was umming and ahhing way too much in that video. I need to cut back on that. So you start to look at yourself from as a viewer, and you get a better perspective about what you need to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
With uploading to YouTube, with the keywords or taglines and that, have you got something that you'd be able to put together just so it can, you know, sort of what to write in the description and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I don't worry too much about that myself. I think that there's been a lot of emphasis on keywords and tagging. I think if you put in a couple of the really, because you know, when it comes to keywords and tagging a video or things like that, the title is really 90% of it, or maybe 80% of it. So the title should really say what it is in the video. There's nothing worse than a misleading title, and I think that's, you get penalized heavily all around, but you also get credited well if you have a good title. So people who use titles that are misleading to try and get or tags misleading, but more the title. So in other words, if I had a title that was about, you know, learning how to play a particular song, but in the title what I put was you know, how to get free tickets to a Taylor Swift concert. You know, nothing to do with actually how to get free tickets. It's misleading, and so even though it's an extreme example, just think about when you do your video, what does the title say, and is that the best description you can think of for what's in your video? And that, to me, that's the bulk of it, because what I know that Google and Facebook and all these guys who are really running the internet for the most part, from our, you know, promotional standpoint, is that they're looking for honesty and they're looking for genuine, credible operators. They're trying to get past the dodgy scammers, the misleading type people. So anything that's a kind of a strategy that it is in any way deceptive or misleading, what they call black hat, stay away from. In my opinion, it's only going to ruin you in the long run. I know this is not, you wouldn't do that, Ben. I absolutely know you wouldn't do that. But more or less what I'm saying is that don't think too much about that. Don't think about the keywords and all that. Think about what your video is, and when someone views it, does that title tell them exactly what they're going to get out of your video? Why would I want to watch your video? And that should really be, so in other words, no gimmicks. Just be clear about what your video has.
Yep. Yeah, sounds good.
Anybody else? Anything, doesn't have to be with this topic, it can be any other topic. This is the last one for the year, going into Christmas.
I did have a question.
Go, Michael.
Regarding, so next year I'm planning to get the screen set up in the classroom and just kind of overhaul the way we run with the folders and things like that. So what I'm planning to do is get a workbook printed out for each student, just get it bound at Officeworks or whatever, just so that it's easy, just like, it's only a thin little book that they all have that we can go through. It's got their checklists and all that kind of stuff. So I guess I wanted to double check if you thought, I'll just have to get my little list up here of what I was going to include in it. So basically it has the cover, the practice schedule, the daily practice sheet, student questionnaire, ultimate song list, and then basically a series of, so level 1 with a practice log next to it, level 2 with a practice log next to it, or maybe 2 practice logs or whatever. So basically there'll be 3 different workbooks. So I've got a senior workbook which has all of the senior levels and a practice log in between each one, and then a junior and then a young beginner. That way, yeah, so we print out the workbook, everything is pretty much there that we need to write on, and then for everything else, it will be on the screen or available, via download through the student's site. Do you think is that too minimalistic, or yeah, what do you think about that?
No, I think that's great. I think if you give them that workbook, you can also give them a copy of the skills printed if they want it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could give it regardless, but if we want to go into being more environmental, I think it's good not to give it. I think it's that you're going to have it up on the screen, you're going to have it available for them as a PDF. You can even send it to them as a PDF if you want.
Well, I think I'll give them that option. If they definitely want a printed copy, they'll just have to pay for it, I think, because then I'll go get it printed. And even if they want like all of the resources, printed, that could be like an option there. We'll just mark it up a little bit so it's worth the time and the effort. But yeah, that way, I can just print out set workbooks, get them bound, which might be a little bit more expensive than having the folder. I'm not sure, but it'll be worth it in the long run, because it'll be less. You'll be saving time in the lesson with going through folders and stuff like that, and it'll be just simplified a little bit. Then they'll just have a list and a practice log to look at, when they come in, and then the teacher has control over the actual material. Yeah,
it sounds good. I think you just got to kind of get it working, and you'll find the gaps in it. You'll say, well, maybe they need more information on this or that, the other. But yeah, most of the things, the concepts, in the skill sheets are pretty straightforward, and they're something that we're constantly repeating anyway. So, again, I go back to my days of doing martial arts. We didn't get printouts on, the moves or the skills. We just got there and we did them and we learnt them, and then we went home and practiced them. And that's how martial arts is taught. Most martial arts schools that I know of don't give you printed books on how to actually do all the moves. So, if anything, they'll have videos to show you. So they'll go to our website, and this move is called the Praying Mantis. So go to the website and look for Praying Mantis this week, and I want you to study that move, and then next week we're going to be working on it and developing it more. So I think you can very, very easily move all this to the internet. Having the live lesson is really important, and those points that you put up on the Facebook page, fantastic. As you pointed out, the things that we've talked about before, but it's good that you now, from the perspective of a teacher trainer, are actually seeing how these are the most important things from the teacher's perspective. If you want to keep your students, these are the things you've got to be doing. If you're just a YouTube video, a live YouTube video, so to speak, then why do I need to come to you? I can just watch YouTube. It sounds good. You're on the right track.
Yeah, cool. Further to what we were saying before as well, if teachers are sort of starting to upload, other G4 teachers that is, upload song videos and so forth, and we have the screen format, we can say, okay, so at the end of our lesson today, we're going to feature one of our G4 teachers in the UK, and he's going to talk about this song, show a 5-minute video, and then sort of go around and help them to play it. So it kind of it could take the pressure off the teacher a little bit in the room as well.
Yeah, and it builds more loyalty to G4, right? And David Aldridge brought this up, which is a really good point, which comes from the E-Myth, in that he doesn't want the business to be about him, because if it's about him, then he's locked in. Okay, it depends on, and this is what you need to be careful of, all of you, is that if the business is about you and you become locked into the business, the business doesn't operate without you. Most people are aiming for passive income. Yes, some people want to be stars. Some people want to be popular. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. But if you want to ever be free of your business, then you need to not make it about you. And the more you make it about G4, the program and the materials, etc., but the overall experience, the other students, the community. The more you do that, you can see that within G4 with you guys. It's not just about me. Hopefully I give you guys a lot of value and a lot of offer a lot of help. But you get as much from the other members you get as much from the resources, and probably more. Realistically, I'm probably now about 10% of what G4 is all about for you guys. You guys, you use the materials every day. You use the program. You go to the websites. You communicate between each other. You get inspired by each other. So it's a community, and this is really, if I come back to the original topic of the audience first, is that the audience is your community, and that's what you want to do, is you want to build a community, and by doing it in your area initially to build your business, you can then repeat that, so you can build more. It's going to be much easier to build your second school than it is your first. Your first school is the big challenge, and when people go out and start their own school from scratch, they don't realize they've got 10 years ahead of them to build their own brand from scratch. To build it, but the idea of G4 is let's do it in a year or 2 years, rather than having to take 10 years to build your brand, because every aspect of building a very good brand takes a long time. But it depends on the community, so that's why building your audience, and even if you don't make any money for a little while, if you can build that community, build that audience in your area, then you're really in a great position to be successful. And that's really what it's all about. So, okay, cool. Any other questions before we sign off? No, we're all good. So, Jonathan, are you there, Jonathan? We've got Jonathan on the ground there in Adelaide. Is he still there? He's probably parking his bike now as we speak.
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry.
How many flies have you done today, Jonathan?
Let's have a look.
776
so far, and I've been out for, let me get my Strava app up, been out for almost 3 hours now.
Fantastic. Excellent.
So,
it's about 38 degrees here, by the way, so good on you, mate.
Oh, I'm not going to say the word I was going to say because we're live on air, but yeah, I'm knackered. So I'm on my way back to the car now. Yeah, I'm going to...
For those in the US, 38 degrees in Fahrenheit is just very hot.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's such a dry heat here at the moment too. So I've been in Queensland for the past week, and that's a really humid and nice up there. But coming back down, and I've only been back for a day, and already feeling it. So yeah.
Yes. No, it's hot. It's very hot. 38 degrees. That's a story.
It's ridiculous.
Cool. Michael, just quickly, you put that up about your inquiries, which is excellent. Very good inquiry rate. I think Ben put a question on there. Are you getting that from mostly flyers?
Yeah, I think it's mostly from the flyers. I mean, you'll notice there's a few I put there as what was it, like on the web, directory free. I think that was the category you mentioned. But when I speak to a lot of these people, I don't, they say, I found you on the web, but then I find out later on that originally I saw the flyer, and then I found you on the web as well. And so it's kind of like the flyer kickstarts everything. So they see the flyer, even if they don't take action on it, it still stays in their mind, and then they see it online, or they go to type in guitar lessons, and then it's actually there. So I think the flyer is definitely the biggest part of it. But then when they do think of it, they find it on the web and they see the name twice, and that's what makes them actually get it. So yeah.
That's a good point too. I mean, there's a couple of things in that, but one thing there is you notice that I name your guitar websites. I start with guitar lessons, so I don't call it G4 Guitar. Most people make that mistake. Most guitar teachers name their businesses and website domains after themselves. John Smith's Guitar Lessons. And so when people go, as Michael said there, if someone typed in guitar lessons, typed in the domain before, went to the domain of Michael's school, and they go back to their computer 3 months later or 6 months later and think, what was that guitar school? I can't remember it, or I'm ready for guitar lessons out. As soon as they start typing guitar lessons in, it comes up because it relates the title guitar lessons to the search, which they're most likely to put in is guitar lessons. They might put guitar teacher, but generally, that's the number one. Guitar teacher is probably number two for someone looking for a teacher. So yeah, that's great, and it really is like that. A lot of people who get the flyers, they don't remember the flyer, or they don't refer to it. It just gets them to the internet, and then from there they think they found you on the internet, or they just say it as a response because that's how they find most things these days. So, cool. So there you go. Hope that maybe that helps, Ben. But yeah, it sounds like he's getting the flyers that are doing the trick.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know whether it's the rules of attraction or what, but you know, whenever I get out and do flyers, I start getting inquiries, whether it's through flyers or wherever it's from. But it's just, as soon as you're out proactive about doing that and you're in that mindset, it starts to happen. It's weird.
I don't know what it is either, and I can tell you now, it happens. I used to do things like it would be slow, and then I'd just start sweeping the floors of my shop, you know, like my school, which was a shop retail I had then, and within 10 minutes someone would walk in and be ready to sign in for lessons. It's just weird. It's just like you put in the effort, the universe gives back. It's just the way it works. It's the old butterfly theory. But yeah, it's just do something. You know, take action on your business, and that really was the key for me, and always has been. Is as soon as I take action, things start to happen. So.
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Like I said, there'll be another hangout, which will be more for UK guys. For the rest of you, it might be a bit not the best time. But the topic. What was the topic for tonight's one? I'll have it down here somewhere. I'll post it up. I can't remember which one. I got a whole bunch of things here. But yeah, so will we? I think we're going to talk about routine tonight. So yeah, that's right. We think it was Paul Andrews posted their book called Morning something. Can't remember. But it's this guy's done a really good. I've recently read the book as well. But it's all about your morning ritual and what you do in the mornings, and I'm going to be talking about how to pump yourself up for the day and really get yourself on a course of success, of feeling, priming yourself is probably the best term to use, and that's starting your days early in the morning and doing a whole bunch of things that prime you for the day, so that you have a great day, and do it every day. And what you'll find is you'll start to your success rate will really pick up. It's really back to what Ben just said. Then on the Miracle Morning, that's it. Thanks, Ben. It's that whole idea of getting yourself in the right frame of mind for the day and taking action. And once you do that, once you start to take action, it sets you up for the whole day. And so we'll talk about that. It's going to be for those who've read The Miracle Morning, it'll be basically what's coming out of that book, but I'll give you the examples that I've used over the years and have worked really well for me, and I'll talk about my morning ritual as well. And it was actually Anthony Robbins who, and this guy quotes Robbins quite a lot in his book, so he's obviously been inspired by the same and Jim Rohn as well. Jim Rohn was the inspiration behind Anthony Robbins. So I think Jim Rohn, Anthony Robbins, these guys have really been an inspiration here, but we'll go into it. We'll talk about it in that session, and so if you can make it, great. If not, I will see you next year, or of course on Facebook in the meantime. Things will quieten down for the next couple of weeks, but then once I get to Japan, it'll all pick up again big time. So big year coming up in 2016. Thanks, guys, and I shall see you soon.
Thank you.
Guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
You too, Monty. See
ya.
See you, mate. Thanks,
Christmas,
Michael.
guys.
Night.
Dave.
See you, Ben.
Bye.